That is not correct. Because according to the Encyclopedia of...
I don't want to sit around and wait anymore. So here we are, doing the thing. Gonna make stream happen right now. Hi, friends. I don't know what the song was, but it was there, and now you get to enjoy it. Still no goat song. I don't think I'll ever be able to top the goat song, but that's okay. But hi, hello, welcome. I love you guys. How's it going? I may have always known the frog magic, but I've finally implemented it. Don't worry about it. But welcome back. Welcome back to some of you. Welcome now to some of you. I am feeding off some chaotic energy from Cyril's stream. Things were getting wild before I had to dip out, and it was great. Love Graveyard Keeper. I love Graveyard Keeper. It's such a good game, and I'm very excited to play more of it during the morning streams. But now it's Darkwood. We're here for some Darkwood, and I am spooked. Because I don't want to be in the old woods. Let's be, like, completely honest and straightforward about this. I don't want to be in the old woods. But I have to be in the old woods. And that's a problem, since I don't want to be there. Excuse me. While I get some chapstick on my lips. But, that's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. We're gonna resolve the issue. And it's gonna be fantastic. Yeah. But I hope everyone's doing well, and that things are going good. I don't want to be beyond the old woods either. I just think I would much rather stay in the dry meadow at this point. Dry meadow sounds much more my speed. It's just dogs and the occasional deer man. Heck, I'd even take the Silent Forest. It's not ideal there either, but it could be worse. Yeah, it's not gonna be great, but that's okay. Do they, though? I need to see proof of this ice cream before I continue on. Will your ghost still chase you there? Probably. Probably. It's fine. It's fine, I guess. I guess it's probably okay. Hold on, I'm gonna turn Darkwood sound on. We're just gonna make our way on over here. But we'll see what happens. Piotrek said there would be ice cream, but did he say there would be ice cream on the other side of the woods, or that there would be ice cream in space? I don't know that it is, though, Luna. 'Cause, like, hear me out. What if I go through all these horrors, and then there is no ice cream? I think that would be even more devastating than all the nonsense that we've been dealing with, and I'm not ready to cope with that. Also, Bono, hi, I love you. Thank you for the lurk, friend. I hope you're doing well. Yeah. Sure, but what it... I'm seeing that some of you are a little more food motivated than I am. Okay, it's 11, it's noon. It's noon. I've got lots of ammo. There's a creepy house that I can't break into because it's got a metal door. I could just try to run to the church ruins. Food is important, go get food, Sarah. Okay, y'all. Again, I think some of you are a little more food motivated than I am. All y'all, go get some food! Oh my god. Please, if you haven't eaten yet, get some food, make some food, eat some food, take care of yourself. This is one of the few occasions where I've actually eaten, like, properly eaten before stream. I'm gonna need y'all to get on my level. Please take care of yourselves. Please, 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 please. I don't have a lockpick. That's a problem. And I heard a grumbly boy. I don't know where he is. Where? Why? Thanks, Sam, for cooking. Yeah, what'd you have? Those are my favorite kind of meals, though. Where you just sort of, like, throw a bunch of stuff together and make whatever. That's a dead person. Ooh. Oh, I had a hamburger. We had homemade burgers today, which was delicious. And I was very happy about it. Yeah, Borg! My Borg was arguably more vegetables than Borg, but it was delicious. I covered it in hot sauce and barbecue sauce, and there were onions and lettuce and peppers. Vegetaborg, pretty much. It had a beef patty on it, but, like, I was there for all the other tasty things. But it was delicious. And very fulfilling. I don't know where I am. I haven't come across anything new. Oh, I hate this. Oh, there's a boy. I don't want to be here. 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 I don't want to be here That looks like a corpse that's gonna blow up on me, so I'm not gonna look at him. Wow, it's really dark in those places. I also don't like the boy. I hear walking. I hear footsteps. Is the game too loud, by the way? Or is it okay for now? Hello? It's not too loud? Okay, good. Huh! Dog! 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 Also, I heard Devo. Could be louder? Okay, okay. I can make it a little louder. How to go about that though? Not here. Let me... That better? I hurt. My body is in pain. Welcome back. Thank you for the Molotovs there. Okay, there is a stompy boy in here. What? What? Excuse me? What? What? A stuffed lynx? No, don't drag it. Don't drag it. Stop! Stop! I've been spotted! I have been seen! Oh, shit! Sandwiches are great! Sorry, I'm panicking. Why? I hate everything in here! Sound adjustment was perfect. Fantastic. It's extremely loud for me. So I'm gonna turn my headphones down just a little bit. Oh, we're in the old woods. It definitely sucks here. We're in the hunter's house. I'm not a fan. Can't say I'm happy, but there is a lot of... Oh, sorry, I just looked at the time. It's getting late. There are a lot of traps in here, and that's pretty great for me. I do like that. Let's get the mushrooms. I'm gonna have to head back now. Like, now. Wedding ring. Can I show that to folks? Is there anything else in here? Hi! I have no space! Fuck. Give me the photo. That's a doggo. That's a spooky looking doggo. I'll have to come back. It's fine. We'll come back at some point. Eventually. Oh no. Oh no, I have to get... Hunter is definitely poorly. Smiley, hi! Thank you for the lurk, friend! Wasn't Beatrix, he was married to his work. Facts, though. Facts, though. Okay, it's fine. We're just gonna hurry on home. I'm scared, though. I don't want to... No! I have made a terrible mistake. Oh, okay, I've lost him. You can run away from them pretty easily. That is good to know. Are you wiggling? Guess it doesn't matter. I can't... Oh my god, it's so dark. I have a flashlight? Shit. But I... don't want to waste time trying to equip it at the moment. So we're gonna... Oh, we're back to the scary grumbling woods. It was a chomper that I heard. Fantastic. I love that they're everywhere. Party time. Okay, hang on. That's the one thing I forgot to do, was turn voice mod on. It's gotta give me a second while I open it up. Also, it's late. It's late. It's almost 6 o'clock in game. Which means that it's gonna be getting to be nighttime very, very soon. Oh no, voice mod has to update. Give me a hot second. Everything in the last couple of days decided that it needed to update. OBS updated, figured out one of the reasons why my capture card was being all funky. Are you doubling up? Are you doubling up on your voice mod? 10 minutes. 10 minutes of party time? Okay. Alright. To last the night. I see. Alright. We'll make that happen then. Is it on? Is it functioning? Looks like it is. But yeah, everything. All of my programs decided that they needed to update in the last couple of days, which is why the capture card was freaking out. It's because I hadn't updated it. Alright. 10 minutes has started. Yay, food! Yay, food. Good. I'm glad everyone is eating. Tending to their humanly needs. Give me that bear trap. Okay, excuse me, it's 5:40 at the moment. That's okay, though. That'll give me a little bit of time to to set up shop. I just don't want to be here anymore. Honestly, this place is all bad. All bad place. You know what? No, let's do it that way. That's fine. I need to turn on the generator, but before I do, I'm gonna get rid of all the things that can decay and that give me experience. I'm also just gonna sit in this menu for a second so I can look at what I've got in my inventory. I should set up some traps. I need to set up some bear traps. I think that would be a wise use of, I can also, hold on, I have alcohol now, which means I can probably summon our little alcoholic buddy. Can get Bike Man to show up and bring all my shit over. And that would be great. I would love to have all my stuff. I think it takes him a day to, like, bring everything. Oh, but I would have to go outside, wouldn't I? Shit. Okay, that is a bit of a problem. I'm gonna hold on to the ring. That's something I want to sell. Put that there. I have a couple of bear traps. Oh, I didn't realize I didn't have any batteries. Okay. Alcohol will go there. Molotovs I will actively use. Those can go away. That can go there. Let's go ahead and make a couple more bear traps. 4? 7 o'clock. Okay, okay. No! I'm scared of bears. In this case, no bears. Only catching things. It's very dark there. It's dark in all of these bad places. Let's put a trap right in the doorway. Fuck, I moved. Okay, there's a bear trap. Let's do another one here. Let's do it right here. So if anything comes through, if they come through this way or they try to come through here, can we catch weird red light in a trap? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know that I want to try. Oh, it's nighttime. Oh, it's nighttime. Let's put the trap right here, please. You were green for a second. I just want to be safe. That's all. Fuck, I should have put one much further away, but that's okay. Can I put here? Itchy. And here. And then maybe no, I think that's good for now. We should call someone about it. Wait, about what? What am I missing? Okay, it's not gonna be great, but I'll call our buddy in the morning to bring over the rest of our supplies. I am not happy. Not the bugs! Not the bugs! Great, it's barely midnight! Go away, bugs! You know what? I'll take bugs over some of the other nonsense we might be seeing. Can I move that there? Get a better view of everything. We're just gonna pace a little bit. I don't like this. Yeah, just the wind. Definitely just the wind. Not me standing here with my stick above my head all night. It's not daytime yet. It's only 3. Is that just a door opening randomly? I think so. Hi, Lamia. Well, now I feel like an idiot for setting up as many traps as I have. But had I not, I definitely would have gotten got. We know how that works. Can it be morning now? Please? It was a llama squeak. Hi! Eat food! Okay, all in all, seemingly an extremely uneventful night. I didn't like that though. I didn't like any of that though. Familiar with bugs. Bugs are annoying, but manageable. I don't know what that terrible, awful, screamy sound was. The weird whispering, didn't like that. Don't know what that is. Don't want to know what that is. And I assume the last one was just random, like, doors opening. Because I didn't hear anyone and none of the traps went off. We got 200 reputation with our buddy here, though. Are you gonna give me 2 or 3 back? 1? You give me 2 scrap. Oh my god, that's trash. I hate that. Okay, okay, so note to self. I just won't go through here or down here. We will always take the long way around because I'm not gonna remove those bear traps if I don't have to, since they don't give me back the same amount of scrap that I used to make them. Do I need this wedding ring for anything? No, don't sell that. I am gonna sell... I should wait until the flashlight's empty. Because I have 2 flashlights, right? Can I actually ask you about... Can't. It's done. We're done. Voice mod is done. Okay. It was a bearless night. Hold on. Grip it and rip it. I opened that so I could take a drink. Don't set it down before you take a drink. Hey, llama. Sometimes we all just gotta grip it and rip it. I don't have a command for that. I should definitely make one, though. Grip and rip. Okay. I've written it down. I will add it. Hi! Hold on. What are you doing? Would you like to say hello? Come here. It's a llama. Hi. You've been sleeping all day. Oh, thank you for the licks. You're such a sweet bean. She is a small bean. Tiniest bean. Hi. I need to set you down, okay? Hey. Do you want some treats? I wanted to snuggle her, but she demands active attention. No bites. Let go. Thank you. She's not content with just sitting in my lap. She demands all of the pets all of the time. Look at this little face, though. Look at this little face, though. The little karate paws.
Thanks for streaming and being awesome. Kayshurrr love.
Luna! Has it really been 2 months? Thank you, friend, for the sub. Also, thank you for being awesome and coming and hanging out with us. I'm gonna set you down now, okay? I'm gonna get you some treebies. Seriously, though, thank you, Luna. No, you gotta hop down. I can't get you treats if you're attacking my legs. Here, look. They're all over. Rain and treats. Okay. I think it's only been like a solid month because of the way that Twitch does their stuff, but even still, that's like, it's wild. It's fucking wild. Thank you, friend. I really appreciate it. It's just, like I've said before, it's just super delightful to, like, have everyone here and hang out with folks and chat and just share stuff. You know. No, y'all are fantastic. How are we on gas? Yeah, it's the start of the second month. I get why they do what they do. Don't go down here, but I do want to kind of just check the state of things. And I want to close this door. Okay. Yeah, it's wild how quickly time goes by, you know? I mean, same. I mean, it's essentially just putting a placeholder being like, we're gonna be here for another month, at least. And that's exciting. We need to ring ding ding our friend, right? That's how we do it. Something's happening. We need to put that away. And take the alcohol. For real, today especially, I don't know what was going on, but it just like flew by. Not complaining, that's for sure. But it's definitely been like a super, it's been a nice day. That's really all I want, is people to meet neat folks. and get to be a part of their own little community. We have found our people. Yeah, no, I've been really busy today, just like trying to get all the chat commands up and ready. Ah, good vintage. A bottle a day keeps the monsters away. To your health, boss. If you want, boss, I can bring your junk from the other hideout. Yes, please. Bring it from the Silent Forest, please. I love all y'all. I don't like a fox in a trash can, boss. Thanks, Bike Man. No, everyone is just so fucking delightful. Right? It's weird. It's really, I don't want to say weird, but it's definitely like really fun kind of like looking back to see like how I've met a lot of y'all. And it's like there's a significant number of you that's like I knew from, you know, in-person stuff. Like I've worked with you before, we've been friends, or both. Dog, stop. But there's also, like, I don't know, like, I met Fruity because they showed up to one of our my Disco Elysium, streams, and then just kind of stuck around, which I thought was neat. And then Sarah we met because of, Fruity's, front mission stream, the robots stream. Just, it's good. It's good. I love you guys. It's also funny because it's like I can remember like which stream I met most people in more than I can actively remember like where I met people in real life. I was gonna say, I mean, like, it's okay. It's okay that you weren't here earlier, but you're here now and that's what matters. And yeah, I'm just excited that people are around and like to hang out. I just want to chat and do stupid stuff with folks. It's good stuff. It's just super endearing, and I need everyone to never change. I mean, change, because that's part of growth, but also just keep being wonderful, lovely people. You know how it is. Okay, I need to brain for a second. I can't upgrade the workshop because I don't have pliers? I think is what that is. Ooh, hiccups. Big hug to everyone. I was considering doing a high five option as well, because I know that even like even in a chat setting, some people don't do hugs. I do. I like hugs. But I think I might add a high five option as well. I'm gonna write that down as I'm thinking about it. Cause you still wanna know, let someone know that they care, but also high fives. Booty punches. Hi, Dougie. I'll put in a punch option specifically for Dougie. Only Dougie will be able to use it. How's it going, friend? How are you doing? You're level 10 in Genshin now, right? Look, you can't use the punch option if you spell it wrong. My goodness. What am I doing? I like the sickle, but it doesn't interrupt attacks. I think I'm gonna get rid of it for now. We'll do this. Oopsies. Whoopsies. Put Molotovs there, and I'll put the flashlight there so that I have it equipped and ready to go. I don't want to sell the wedding ring, because I feel like it's important. It may not be, though. But there was that wedding venue. Excuse me? There was that wedding venue, in the Dry Meadows. Too cheap and possibly important. I vote keep. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it doesn't sell for very much. But it just seems weird that they're giving me specifically a wedding ring, so I'm gonna hold on to it for a little bit. I like that option. Just gonna copy that one now. We gotta be level 16. We gotta be level 16, but we're almost there. We're almost there. Sorry, I kind of suddenly dipped the other night. My brain just went kaput. But I think I'm also level 10, or very, very close to level 10. Soon. One more play session and we should be there. Right? Dougie, you need to go to sleep. Yeah, I think I, like, stopped playing around, like, midnight and was like, I need to lay down. And the cats were getting mad at me. It was a whole thing. Do I want to make another Molotov? Use some gas. I have plenty of gas. Let's do it. Okay. It's fun. It's a lot more fun than I was anticipating, honestly. I'm here for it. Hello? What the fuck was that? Hold on a second. Hello? What are you doing? Lamia? What are you doing over there? You got some dust on your butt. Yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you gonna... Okay. Yeah. It was definitely a lot like Breath of the Wild. And I enjoyed it. Other people should play Genshin with us at some point. Hey, if you want to play games with us, you should play Genshin Impact. Okay, what are we doing? Tree hunting is Connor, right? She was in the hallway. The treats are never in the hallway. It's basically, I guess, like, the best way to, like, explain it was just, like, it's like Breath of the Wild, but with a bunch of different characters. And so you can, like, change out your characters while you're playing. There's lots of element combinations. I have to sneeze, hold on. Excuse me. Yeah, like, and I think that's why I'm, like, super into it right now, is because it's free. I mean, there are some, like, you know, microtransaction options, but you don't need to do them to play. Fruity. Fruity, no. But it's fun. It's fun so far. And you can play with friends once you hit level 16. We're almost there. What am I doing? I'm trying to sell stuff, but Wolfman is south of where we are. By, like, a significant distance. Can you impact Genshins in that one? Probably. Probably. Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna save... I want to sell things, but he's so far away. I'm gonna put the sellable items in here. I will forget that they're in there, but I'm gonna put them in there. I was gonna say, there is crossplay. Crossplay is an option, so you can get it on whatever system you want. It's even got a mobile version, which I don't think I would recommend because mobile's jank as shit, but you know. But yeah, I played like a few hours of it and I really enjoyed it. Let's go back to the Hunter House. I guess. I really don't want to. I don't want to go back to the Hunter House, but I should. Can we... Let's go up? Let's go up some. And then move off west. Do it. Ah! 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 Dog! Dog! Fucking hell. Dog was too far away. Dog died from my acid blood. Love that for me. Nice. Yeah, like I said, you can't do multiplayer until level 16. But what's the worst that happens? You download it, you find out you don't like it, you wasted an hour or two. Barn ruins? Here I was ready to go to the Hunter House, but like, barn? Nice. I just like the fact that, like, a lot of it, like, you can do the multiplayer stuff, but it's not necessarily, like, reliant on it. I get really annoyed with MMORPGs for that exact reason. It's just too reliant on other people being available to play. That's a lot of dog sounds. Maybe I can get inside from a different side? Do you? I think they can hear me. It's gonna break. My stick is gonna break. Does this damage the door? It doesn't, not really. Of course you did, Travis. Hi, Panda. I appreciate the lurk. Thank you. I hope you enjoy Pathfinder. You regret none of it. See, I tried to get into WoW, and I just got really annoyed with it, honestly. I get why a lot of people enjoy it, but it's definitely not for me. I tried Terra for a while. It was fine. And I think... What the fuck is happening here? What is that? What are these? Human remains, they look stuffed. A trophy with a human head? Hello? I'm gonna catch up on chat in a minute. Oh, I hate it here. Yeah, I've heard good things about Warframe. I don't think it's my thing. That's my other issue with, like, MMOs, is that they're so repetitive. And, like, look, I like mindless tasks, but I need there to be something. What are these sounds? I hate it here. Hey, friends? I wouldn't recommend this bad house. Barn ruins? Not ideal. Can I... Ah! I knew it was coming! Dog! Fuck. Okay. It was dying anyway. I put it out of its misery. It's very not good here. What time is it? Noon? I hate it here. My shit's about to break. Locked. I could open it with a lockpick. Okay, well, I don't know that I want to go there right now. Why is it getting so dark? Not rain. I'm gonna, like... Oh my god. Okay, again, hear me out. The dogs are not doing great. They're all dying anyway. I am putting them out of their misery. But I'm gonna fucking kill all these dogs, and then somebody's gonna find out about it. Whoever stuffed all these people is gonna find out about it and show up and try to kill me later. And I'm not gonna love that. In fact, I will absolutely hate that. I need to go. You know what? This wouldn't actually be...
Oh no, it's the stress game.
It's the stress game. Hi, Sam. Thank you for the sub, friend. Everything is bad? I got a key to the wolf's hideout. What? Wait a second. This isn't Wolf's Hideout, is it? It is stressy spaghetti time. I hope we're all ready. But hi, Sam. Thank you for the sub, friend. I love you. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I got a key to Wolfman's Hideout. There are lots of dogs in there. Stupid dogs! First try stream, baby! Yeah, see, I'm concerned that that was Wolfman's Hideout. And that's not gonna be great for me. Fuck, I don't know where he is. There he is. We're just gonna go. I need to remember I have that scream move. I sell him my dog meat, actually. Ah! Stop! I'm gonna die. I'm gonna fucking die! Shit! Oh, okay. It's fine. It's fine. What did I lose? That's the wrong one. No, so there's odd meat, which we inject ourselves with, but then there's just meat, which is throwable, and we can distract carnivores with it. But I don't use it because I either am going to kill something or I'm going to run away from it. Yeah, normal dogs are made of meat. Big dogs and rabbits are made out of odd stuff. It's fine. Don't even worry about it. There's so many mushrooms. Fuck. Fuck. Shit's about to break! No. Dog! I wanted to look at what this man had on him. It's very dark. That's a bear trap. Where am I? Okay, I'm almost where my shit is. Which is great. I love that for me. Not another dog! Dog! Oh, I know it's almost night. I just wanted to get my stuff. I'm almost there. Well, it stopped raining. That's great. Okay, there's an egg sack there too, and I want it. I need my stuff first. I need to get my things first. I do have Molotovs. Please. Where are my things? Well, there's mushrooms. I found location question mark? I've gone too far. Okay, here's the hunter's cabin. There are my things. Time is it? It is 5 o'clock. Cool. Shit. That should give us enough time to get back. Probably. Excuse you. I missed. I missed. Dog meat gone. Embryo better. Okay. Let's re-equip the Molotovs. I hate looking in things and not picking up all the stuff, but I feel like collecting as many nails right now is very important. So, you inject it. When in doubt, inject. Bear trap. Look, I also injected a dead rat into me, okay? I am just here, chasing that good rat high. I'm gonna go ahead and eat some of those before I die. Again. Exactly, I could have waited. I could have waited. Okay, well, it's fine. Let's drag this. Let's drag that there. What time is it? It is 6 o'clock. Okay, not bad. I need to go put some stuff in the oven. Get 640 from the embryo now? Holy shit. We're getting a lot more in general. We're gonna level up again, aren't we? I am so close to leveling up again, and that scares the crap out of me. What is that? Rotten mushroom. Oh. Oh, sads. Because while the experience is harder to get, it also seems like that's something that I can sell. That's something I can sell. It seems like as I level up, the things that I can inject also become not stronger, but more efficient, and that's a little disconcerting, to say the least. Does that sell for anything? No. That's just trash. Flares I want to sell. Oh my god. Hold on. Nails. That needs to go outside, so that'll go down there for now. That'll go there. I'll take another one of those. Yeah, more potent. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It might, yeah, it might be that this stove is better than the last one, but even still, like, I don't know. It makes me wary. I am concerned. It's fine. Okay. Oh, I was cutting it close there. Okay, let's go turn the generator on. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. Generator time. Okay. We'll close the door. Close that door, and then I will make a chain trap. Because if that doesn't get used, I will get all my scrap back when I dismantle it. And that seems worth having. Okay. Oh! Luna's smart and notices things that I don't. It's a multiplier. I see. Dougie. Oh, Dougie. What up? Can I need to repair things. Oh, my lord. I'm gonna go ahead and use some of my scrap on that. No, that makes sense. It makes sense. I don't live close enough for anything to be delivered to me. I am literally 2 miles outside of the radius for anything to be delivered. I do plan on setting up a coffee at some point. It's just gonna take me a little bit. But I will be doing that. Not dogs. Not dogs. Wind? What is happening? What is happening? Why is everything moving? No, 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 don't disarm that. Sarah, thank you for the gift sub. It's dark in here, and I'm trying not to close the door. I just want to dismantle the strap so I can get out into the light, please. No, stop. Sometimes it's louder and sometimes it's loud and sometimes it's not. I don't change the sound on anything. I've given up on changing the sound. Did the dog die? It set off the trap. Dog died? There's a welder in here? And a gentleman magazine. Oh ho ho! Okay. Ha! Please. Please. Can you not break my barricade? Oh! Buddy brought her stuff! Not a chomper! Not a chomper! I set off my own goddamn trap! Oh, okay. Well, everything's on fire now. That's fine. I can hear people walking around outside. Yeah, I mean, monster caught on fire, and that's really all I was hoping for. What broke? Hi, Isaac! Where is it stomping? Everything is bad! Holy shit! Okay, sorry. Hi Isaac, long time no see. I hope you're doing well. More things are breaking my shit. I can hear them. Fucking hell. Just people trying to deliver your treats. Joke's on them. I can't get those. Okay, that's what broke. It broke the it broke the thing that was in front of it. Wait. That's not where that was previously. Seems kind of sketch to me. I can't show you anything. We need to go see Wolfman. I got shit I gotta sell. And things I need to show him. Whew. Okay. Also, Dougie, sorry, I just saw your comment. I would if I could. Yeah. Like I said, I'm planning on getting a coffee set up at some point. So if people want to feed me, that'd probably be the best way to do it. But it's gonna take me a little bit before I can get it fully set up. Just know that that's a thing that I plan on doing. It's fine. I could go to his house. I could go to Wolfman's house. We did get the key. I don't know where his house is, though. I'm hoping it's not the house with the stuffed people. Kitty Trio update for Siam. I can do that. Kitty cats are doing great. That's your update. No, they're doing fantastic. Lamia is all over the place and is sassy as ever. But she's doing wonderfully. We have leveled up. We've officially leveled up, folks. You heard it here first. Mushroom healing, third eye. Kind of like careful step. I'm gonna get the wood. I'm gonna get the wood one. Oh, bad. Lamia's doing fantastic. She's super sassy and spunky all the time now. She will come to bed on her own. I don't have to coerce her to come to sleep. Like I usually do, which is delightful. We can eat trees now. It's true. Sound still resonates inside this mossy bell. Devo is a wild little boy. He... I had been keeping my windows open previously because it's been really nice out. Also, what the fuck is going on here? I'm gonna pause for a hot second while I do this update. Devo's wonderful. But yeah, like I've been keeping my windows open because it's been chilly, but it's been really nice out. And after his little stint of living outside for 2 weeks that one time, he doesn't like the smell of outside. He freaks out about it. He got to a point where he was fine with it, but it's been super windy today. It was kind of windy yesterday, but more so now. And he fucking hated it. He was not about it, so he was running around all day today, just like freaking out about everything. My sweet little boy. But aside from that, when he's not been doing that, he's been curled up in the bedroom, just chilling out and sleeping and being cute, like he always does. I stayed up way too late last night. And he got very upset at me and started chirping and honking away, telling me to go to bed. And I got into the bedroom to like get ready to lay down. He immediately hopped onto the bed and then stared at me until I laid down, and it was precious. And Farley, we got an official weight on him the other day. He is 22 pounds. Farley is 22 pounds. of mass. 22. But he's doing very well. He is a snuggly boy. It is now officially chill enough that he just wants to sit and sleep with me all of the time. And it's great. Yeah, big boy! Big, huge boy! He's a large lad. But we love Farley, and he's doing great. He, we have, a couple of older cats downstairs, our little geriatric men. And he has been snuggling up with, one of our older boys, Charlie. We have Farley and Charlie. It was a mistake, really, naming them something so similar. But they've been cuddling up together, like, constantly the last couple of days, and it's adorable. It's precious. But they're all doing very, very well. And that's how the kitty cats are all doing. He is a huge boy. There is your dang trio update. Alright, what the fuck is going on here? Who's this? We were talking about the lovely kitty cats. Hi, Willis. Just filling everyone in on what was going on with the cats. Charred church roof bends under the weight of the red oily clouds. What the hell's in there? Hold on. Is that a thing? It's not. Of course. Anything to let people know how the sweet fuzzy babies are. What is that? What is that? Where the hell are you going? Can't you see there's a line? Who do you think you are? I don't know that I know who I am, actually. Is it 333? Eddie, hi! Sorry, I just saw yellow and assumed it was Sam. It's an Emmy. How's it going, friend? Strange box. Okay. Ah! A red seesaw. Ah! Why did you walk over everything? A red seesaw for my girls. I know where there is a seesaw. No voice, nor free will. What is happening? A white dress. I have those items. Black box. See in his eyes when he looks down. Oh, I can't hurt it. Shit. Shit. Fuck! I was so close! Red seesaw, white dress, a black box. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was so close to killing him! Shit, okay. Oh! Hi, Wolfman! I hope you're not here for a key or anything. Meat, what's with the big eyes? Scared? Bad dream? The wolf winks at me, baring his teeth slightly. Can I show you this? I have this strange box still? Oh, it's one of those. Or one of these. The wolf grabs the box and starts sniffing it from every angle. I could swear I've heard his tail moving under his coat. Interesting find, Meat. Guess now you want to know what's inside, eh? Somewhere in the western part of the old woods lies a place where you'll find a key to this box. Well, Meat, I would be careful if I were you. Trust me, you don't want to open it by yourself. Bring me the key and don't try to be a wise guy. You won't know what to do with it. Okay. No baby? No baby. No? Baby? Oh! Sorry! Sorry! I, like, completely missed that. I can do baby. My bad. There was a lot happening. I did the kitty update, and then there was a shit ton going on in the game. My brain. My fucking brain. Okay. I did miss it this time. I'm sorry. It's way up there. It's right after Willis. Mention the cats. It's up there. There was a lot happening. Everyone was saying hi to everybody. Got buried. Hold on a second.
Are we baby now? I think we're baby now. Baby! 5 minutes has started! Okay. Well, now that we have that sorted out, last night sucked, y'all! It was a bad night. I didn't like it at all. Can I take these? And then I should, hold on. I should finish putting all of my meat into the oven, right? We gotta meet. 10,000 for the next one. Ooh, that's too much. Okay, I'm going to make a lockpick. Because we have the supplies to do that. That's gonna go there. I'm gonna put these away. That needs to go into the saw. That can go back in there. I don't know that I need the welder for anything at the moment. But I'll save it at least for something. Oh right, all my shit got here too. I have, you know what? This works out very well. The welder does upgrade the workbench, but I've already gotten that particular upgrade because I got a welder from Piotrek for getting him all the supplies for his spaceship. But it does. It's not a gasoline nozzle. It's not a petrol nozzle. It is, in fact, a welder. Now we know. Okay, you won't buy any of my things. You'll buy some of my things. Buy my bed. Just buy my bed. I will, because I've got so much. I have a shit ton of reputation with him, right? So I might as well start spending some of it because there really hasn't been anything that I needed to purchase lately. So I'll buy some level up stuff. I'll buy some more ammo. We'll get stuff for more lockpicks. I think I need wire for the next workbench upgrade anyway. We'll buy some cloth. Except I'm happy with that. juices. And a stretch. Ah! It was a necessary addition, it's true, it's true. Also, thank you for the bubble, Sarah. Okay. Thank you for the hydrates, Emmy and Travis, and also thank you for the stretch, Travis. I feel like this is another situation where I need to just start spending my reputation with this man. Guess what? Baby done. Baby, all done. All done.
Baby. No more baby. Group hydrates are important! I love it. I love it when we do community hydrates. They're necessary. We like them. Okay, I'm gonna buy some fabric and the rope so I can get another inventory. I mean, that's what they're there for. Again, if I gotta take care of myself, you gotta take care of yourself. You need some water with those dang pretzels, Travis. I can't craft any more of this type of item. I have max inventory space. I mean, I can make more hotbar space, but like, damn. Hello? Travis, that's not great. That's not a great state to be in. Please. Please, no. Okay, can I... Oh my god, sorry. This is gonna take us a minute. We're gonna do some inventory management. We're gonna fix things to say that I'm a human raisin. Oh, he needs some milk. That's what you wanted me to say. I see, I see. I can't just be the vine quoter forever. Yes, I can. I can't even finish saying that because I can, and I will. I will forever be the quoter of vines. We know this about me.
That is not correct. Because according to the encyclopedia...
I'm glad I took the time to fix that one earlier. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, we have new chat commands. They are listed under the stream around the about section. I also have a list of them in the Discord for those of you who are in there. Also, why did this man split up my shit the way he has? This makes no sense, my dude. Flipped Octo is very good. I like it. I like it. Can I... Okay, let's put that there. Sorry, I'm like trying to figure out what I'm doing. Let's go ahead and take all of the weapons out. Okay, maybe not all of the weapons. I can't fit all of the weapons. But I don't use the knives at all, right? I can hear something outside my fucking house, and I'm not happy about it. You know what? I'm gonna sell both of those. No. I'll keep these ones. They're damaged, but like, they're not too terribly damaged. That can go in there. I'm just gonna immediately turn it into a lockpick. Okay, sorry. This is gonna take me a second to figure out what all I'm doing. I have so much garbage now. It's great. I love having an excess of supplies. However, not got the cool Octo! Oh, I love him! That's very good! Cool Octo, very good. Just call him Cool Face. Cool Face Octopus Edition! Very good. We love it. We love it. We're here for this. I have too many batteries, apparently. Let's put the batteries up here. And move the pitchfork down there. I'm gonna sell all this. This is all getting sold. I can also probably sell this board with nails. Because I have enough weapons in general, right? At this point. Let's go sell some stuff. I'm glad everyone's here right now, because, like, this makes inventory management so much easier. Except... Okay. Leave. I wonder if I can gossip with him some more? I wonder if he'll say anything new, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. Okay. Workbench. I do have another bear trap that can go there. Let's put the rags away. Right. It is unfortunately a major part of the game. Whole inventory management thing. But it's okay. We'll make it happen. Homemade shotgun. Useless after firing a shot. You got any hobbies, Wolfman? Hey, Wolfman! I've been thinking about getting into some hobbies. Maybe taxidermy? Thoughts on taxidermy? I need to upgrade my fucking workbench so I can get an axe! Just let me have an axe! I can probably... Pitchfork is so slow, though. I'm gonna make another Molotov. I mean, like, that's the last of my alcohol right now. But that's okay. I have an antidote, so let's do that there. I'm, like, running out of space. It's not ideal. Let's do that. I'm gonna keep the wedding ring on me just because... Oh, actually. Hey, Wolfman. Yes, meat? I can't show you any of those. Can I get some gossip? Avoid getting in trouble if I were you, meat, or at least until you get a decent weapon. That's nothing new. Okay, he doesn't have anything new to say, which is extremely unfortunate. And you also don't have anything new to say, so I guess I'll put the ring back. I was hoping that our buddy would have something to say about it. He does not. Let's take out the nails. No! Whoa, no, don't dismantle! Shit! Well, it was kind of broken. That's fine. It's fine. Okay. I tried to sneak past. I was gonna try to sneak past. Game. Oh, well. It's fine. Can I put those in there? Let's get some more boards. Let's get some more boards. I'm going to barricade this door. Also, I keep hearing shit in my hallway and it's scaring the crap out of me. What the fuck are these sounds? Doorway needs fixed. Very good. Slow, but, you know, it's a little slow, but that's okay. Sometimes it takes some time. But what the fuck is going on? Hold on a second. Hello? They're like moving shit around downstairs. I didn't get got. I'm still here. You can't get rid of me that easy. No, they're like moving stuff around downstairs, which is like fine. But it was loud and like it was shaking the whole house. You gotta do it as its own line. Willis. Oh, he's so quiet though. Hold on a second. He's so quiet though. Let me fix that. I'm scared that that's gonna be too loud. Hold on a second. That's still pretty quiet. That's still so quiet. Okay, I'm just gonna turn it all the way up. That's just oh my god. Okay. That's better. I might have to change that one. 'Cause that was so quiet. Dang. That's okay. We can fix that eventually. I can hear monsters outside. We just live in this house now. Like, we're not leaving ever again. We are officially hunkering down. We cannot be stopped. What was I gonna do? Chain traps. Chain trap? Chain trap. They use less. If they don't set off, I can reclaim them. And we like that. We like being able to reclaim things. I don't... Let's put a chain trap here. And then... I've barricaded all that off. So I should put one here. So I can still get through here if I need to. And then... I don't think I'll ever need to come through here. Shouldn't ever have to, at least. I'm gonna try not to. See, this is why I'm trying to, like, figure out where... Ooh! Where are you going, mouse? So I'm trying to figure out, like, where I walk. Because I just am going to treat this whole section of the house as... uninhabitable, right? So let's do this. And then... barricade this door as well. Because I think I'm at the point where, like, I can still find enough supplies to make more barricades if I need to, right? I've got the bear trap there. But the more barricades I have, the more... 4 and 9, okay. I haven't stepped into another trap. I haven't done it yet. I'm just being told not to. Which I get, I understand. I have used all of my nails, so I'm gonna buy more. I don't really have anything to sell. Except... just gotta set up traps everywhere. It's fine. I do want to fix this doorway. I don't have enough planks on me. That is a bit of a problem. I don't have enough planks, period. Okay, that's unfortunate. But I can get more. Because we still have some wood to work with in the saw. Okay. Sorry, it's all just... Oh no, I have this window to barricade as well. 19? 20? Something like that? I think. Oh! There's a dog over there. Okay. Yeah, we're on day like 19 or 20, I think. We're making progress. Okay, can I... What did I do with my nails? Did I put them away? Okay. Good. Perfect. Love that for me. And I don't have enough to barricade this, do I? Oh, I do! Very good. Okay. We have made all the repairs to the house that we need to. I have set all the traps that I need to. I'm feeling good about this. I'm pretty sure our next big order of business is to try and make it to the church ruins. But I am curious about... Wolfman's Hideout. We also haven't checked our journal in, like, forever. So let's see. Day 2, the wolf. My mind must be going if I'm not delusional. The man who I met had the head of a wolf. He told me he will help me get the key back. I just need to go through the other side of the forest. I am to meet him in the northern part of the Silent Forest. We did that. The wolf's hideout is in the southwestern part of the dry meadow. Southwestern? Is it... I mean, that's... Brain. Okay, hold on. Day 4, the shadows. It was a rotten, strange night. Shadowy silhouettes emerged from the corners of my hideout. I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me in the dark, but I'm certain I've seen something. Or I'm certain I've seen something. If they come back, I should keep close to the light. Day 7, the wolf's offer. The wolf has asked me to bring him a key to the locked room in the house of the hag that reeks of chickens. In exchange for this favor, he will help me retrieve my key. A key for a key seems quite fair. I shall find the hag in the village in the southeastern Edge of the silent forest. I don't think I've done that. Southeastern edge. It's not the silo, is it? It'd be like here, right? She just smells the chickens. That's okay. Day 8, Piotrek. Now I've heard everything. I've met a boy named Piotrek. He told me he's building a rocket, but he's missing some parts. From what I've understood, he's constructing a rocket from parts of a broken tractor. It's absurd, but I think I may help him. Is that it? Buddy, but we finished helping Piotr. Okay. What do we got? Strange box, gentleman magazine, the photo. Note, flyer, blueprint, postcard, ration stamps, white dress, note, motorcycle, pack of cigarettes, generator note, mushroom book, photo of a road, plastic chick. The only key I have is the key to the Wolf's Hideout. I don't think I got it. Allie's home! Welcome home, Allie! Yeah, I don't think I got the key from the lady that reeks of chickens. So maybe it would behoove us to go back to the Silent Forest. There's still so much to look at up here, though. Okay, I feel like I just have to backtrack a lot in general. But I just set everything up here. I'm also quite annoyed with myself that I've, like, a majority of my inventory feels like it's dedicated to garbage. You know? I know I said I was gonna let this flashlight run out, but you know what? I still will, but I'll take the one that's that's proper full. Excuse me. I was about to say, before I sneezed, that I think I need to take a quick bathroom break. Which means it is pee time. But, there you go. Thank you, Emmy. So yeah, I'll be back in just a minute. It's pee time. I am back. No more pee time. Try them all out. Try out all the commands. See what they all are. They're great. They're there. It's great. Let's go. It's the when will you learn? When will you learn that your actions have consequences? That one. It's that one. It's that one. But no, seriously, try them all out. They're all there to be used. Because I like those better than sound alerts. Sound alerts was a great starter, but also kind of sucked. So, we'll just have chat sounds now. Okay, I think I have organized everything properly. We have so much shit in here. It's wild. I think we need to go... Fuck. There's so much I want to look at. It might be good to go back to the southeastern portion of the Silent Forest. At some point we should go... It said that the Wolf's Hideout was in the southwestern portion of the Dry Meadow. That's labeled as Wolf's Camp. That's also Wolf's Camp, so I wonder if Wolf Hideout is different, you know? But there's still so much to look at up here. No, we need to go back to... We need to go back to the Silent Forest. Oh, I wonder if... So there was... No, I don't think so.
Everything is fine. I'm here now.
Hi, Allie! I love you. How are you? Let's go ahead and drink from the well. We need to go to the Silent Forest. That's the plan as of right now. It's the one. It's the only. Odd Moose Mod Moose. We love Allie. Okay, we got all day to get back to the southeastern portion of the Silent Forest. I think we can manage it. I think we can manage it just fine. Sometimes you need to just buy some white girl shit. You deserve it, my friend. Ooh. Ooh. I can hear all of the stompy boys. Crate! Crate! Lockpick! Crate! Shovel blade. Fantastic. I don't want that. Another crate. Shit to sell. I'm glad you're doing well, though. And that you got to do something fun. Bad place. Bad place. Didn't get anything cool from that really either. Cute. White girl shit. I mean, I'm always here for weird bottles and jars. So, and vases. Also flowers, even if they're fake. Love it. Love it! Delightful. Hey, Wolfman, I just saw you a minute ago. Do you want... Why is he here? That seems wrong. That seems incorrect. I know I just traded you a bunch of shit. Why won't you buy my shovel blade? Buy my shovel blade. Buy my shovel blade. Cute! I'm here for this. 100%. Okay, this is... Oh, I didn't accept the trade. Damn it. I always forget to actually hit accept. I guess I'll buy one more of those, because why not? Close, exit. And because I know where he is, I am going to drop the wood here. It will stay there. We'll reclaim it later. But it is just taking up unnecessary space in my inventory at the moment. That man is bashing his head into a tree. I think he needs to stop. I think he should probably stop that. Boy, oh boy. That's... I don't think he's trying to eat it. I think he's just trying to become one with it. I don't know about y'all, but I tend to eat food with my mouth and not my entire head. I just want to get through here. Look, it wouldn't be the first time that I'm wrong, okay? Ah! Fuck off! Now I'm poisoned.
That is not correct. Because according to the encyclopedia...
Those mouth sounds though. Thank you, Luna. Faceplant is the best way to get the full experience. You really just gotta dive into the food. Juices through your eyeballs. Can we not? Elk! He just ran over some mushrooms. He got lost in the trees. Ouch! I hear other grumbly, awful noises, and I hate everything. I think those are dogs attacking savage men. Ouch! My God! That was a terrible experience. Bye, Emmy! Can I not experience the food with my whole body? Preferably. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Road to the village! Gutted pig? Oh. Hold on. Oh. 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 This is bad. Why do I have a load screen? Why is there a load screen? Can't look at my map right now. Why have you forsaken us? What have we done to have wronged you? Without her, we will start. Oh! Shiny stone has been pressed into the mud-covered head. I'll leave the stone. Are all the villagers gonna be angry with me now? I need to be mindful of the time. I found the village. We have located the village. And apparently I have forsaken the village by killing the pig. Hey, you. Yeah? Village leader wants to have a word with you. He's waiting inside. Inside this building? If he ever tries to come back. Fucking quack doctor. Burned doctor's bag. Can I... Which one do you want, Travis? Bobby! The Bobby!
I can make the Bobby happen. Your 5 minutes has started. Who are you? Get away from me. Okay. Hey, y'all, can I stay here for the night? Look, I know I killed your pig, and apparently you needed that pig, but, what if I stayed here for the night? What if we just chilled out together for the evening? Hello? This feels like a trap. This absolutely feels like a trap. Place is cold and smells of raw meat. Let's just casually pull out our Molotovs. Come here. Come here for a second. Tim, he's the one who killed our sow. Unleash Antec. You'll pay for what you have done. Actually, oh my god! Okay, so this is a bit of an issue. I am hurting. I am on the verge of dying. Can I use a key? None of the keys fit. Okay. Well, has it been 12:02 since I got here? You know what? Peters? Kinda? I guess I'm just trying to determine if time has progressed since being in the village. Like, do I need to be extra cautious of... It was 12. Maybe it's 12:02. Okay. I just need to know if I need to, like, you know, like I said, be conscientious of the time. What a joyous day! We shall meet again today. I hope she'll enjoy what I prepared for her. She hasn't had an appetite lately, but it's okay. We have our ways around that, don't we? She must eat rich meals. I've dug out something delicious for her today. My queen. Only I can be close to her. No one else. No one. No one else will get close to you anymore. You need to eat everything I've brought you today. If you're something, I shall show you something. Something. There's letters there. 8-2? Yeah, that's Piggy. So I wonder if 8-2... Is that for this? I will try and brute force this. Don't think I won't. 8200? It's time. It is time. Baby.
He's done! No more baby. 8201. Something tells me it's not. Can I clicked in the wrong spot, but that's okay. 8202. This is such a pain in the ass. Oh my god. Is there more of a clue around here somewhere? Guess I didn't look at the bed, did I? Map! Pig shed. Location already marked, though. Do we see any, like, numbers here? Not really. Oops, wrong button. Items. How many pigs there are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's not right. Could it possibly be? I want to know. Okay, it's still 1202. Oh, maybe. Hold on. I think before we go back to the shrine, I want to look around the rest of the village. No one else seems to be, like, prepared to attack me. Hey, are you okay? villagers turn their heads away from me. I don't think I'm welcome here. What gives you that impression, friend? Trees. Humming beautifully. Doctor's instructions. Solution for removing intestinal parasites. Pour the petroleum over the nuts. Add propolis. Put away for a couple of days. Drink 1 tablespoonful per day. Okay. I keep, like, instinctively checking the watch. I don't think that person's doing too hot. Thermometer. I have no room in my inventory. This fucking sucks. I'm not gonna get home in time to have this odd meat mean anything to me. I have so many wires now, though! Chitin can go away. Meat can go away. Pitchfork can go away. I can stack that. Hey, bud. Do you want to stop groaning? You cool? I don't think he's cool. We'll just not close me in there. Okay, and it's still 12. He's been hiding in this cottage for the last couple of days. He'll end up like the others. Telling ya. He'll run off into the woods and disappear. Cottage of cheese. No! Not cottage of cheese. Nothing in there. Not the Draculas. Not the Draculas. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to, like, clear the way. Because I know if I don't, I'm gonna have to run out of this fucking house. And trying to get around all this shit will not be fun. So let's move it now. What is happening? Hold on a second. My screen just went all funky. What are you doing, game? Why did you just throw my computer into compatibility mode? Hold on a second. That was weird. Game is haunted though, like facts. Okay, it's fine now. I didn't like that though. Can't say I was a fan of that. Nothing changed for you guys. It all looked the same. I could see what OBS was seeing. And it was all fine. Oh, buddy. I don't want the shiny stone. I can hear you. Yeah? Didn't think you couldn't. happens if I pick up the shiny stone? Okay. Okay. I didn't want to pick up the shiny stone, like, immediately, but who are you? No one? Get away from me. It's been 10 years since they took her. What the fuck is this village, though? Siphon? I'm just gonna go into everyone's house and just steal their shit. It's fine. You okay? What do you want? Are you in the hole? My holes! Someone is inside this hole. I can barely make out a silhouette. Looks like a grown man with long, disheveled hair. He's completely covered in mud. Okay. Oh, it's the pig! Op! Op! That is a manhole. You are correct. More taters and a rat, but I want the rat. Oh, but I want the antlers because they sell for a lot. But I don't really need to focus on selling things as much anymore, do I? Really, realistically. Pills can go away. Give me that dead rat. Never gonna make it. These woods have no end. And I killed your piggy. Just starve here. I do feel kind of bad about killing the pig now. Like, I know the villagers did try and warn me by being like, that's our livelihood. That's how we survive. But also... oopsies. I probably should have come here before killing the pig. I didn't really think ahead, you know? I just acted. I don't think I can get through here. Oh. Suppose I can. Okay, how do I get into this house, though? I know that I could just go around the fence, but I'm definitely gonna hop it. I will- yeah, I mean, facts. I will always kill pig. We know this about me. I want all of these things. Shiny stone can go away. Give me the boards. Gotta be practical about what I want to keep. I can open it with a lockpick. Well, I don't have a lockpick. I got lots of wire. But no pick. Need a key. None of my keys fit. I'm scared to try and break the door down. A, because I don't have near enough, like, weapon health on me. to do it. Well... yeah, I would be without a weapon if I broke the door down. I'm also concerned that if I did, all these people would try and attack me then. They haven't attacked me yet. So maybe we'd be fine. I don't believe that. I genuinely do not believe that. Doll? Oh, I hate that. Where's this woman that reeks of chicken? Oh! Chickens! Chicken lady? Just gonna casually push the chickens out of the way. Wooden doors, or the wooden floor is sticky with chicken feces and feathers. Chicken lady! The old lady squints at me, her eyes full of suspicion. She hugs her chickens possessively. Better keep them hands off my hens, you bloody scoundrel! The old lady puts one of the hens to her ear, mumbling under her breath. After a moment, she calms down. Seen me share things, lived through many a war, but nothing like this. Lord be my witness. It's a cursed land, ain't a place for men, ain't a place for hens. Oh, I can talk to you. Hell's bells, where did you get it? Where did you find it? Yeah, it would 100% be crunchy. The old lady seems disturbed. The hens fall silent. I can feel the tension in the air. Holy Mother, it's Yannick's little hen. A gift from me, my little brother. A couple of days ago, he got mad. I told him, stay, you're not... Sorry, I just put something together. Hold on. A couple of days ago, he got mad. I told him, stay, you're not one of them brainy fellas. You know nothing. But he wouldn't listen, and off he went to that other fella. Is that... This ties back to the doctor in the prologue, right? Here, take this. He went to see this fella. See him? He never came back. The lady shoves a crumpled photo into my hand. This man! That's the doctor, isn't it? The woman trembles violently. The hen on her shoulder struggles to maintain balance. You're all I have, my little sisters. Oh, I remember this place, I do. It's been 6 years since I've been there last. This road used to lead to the other village. You could also take it to get to the city, not that far away from here. You won't get there now. These devilish trees have overgrown everything. Shit! So the dude that was supposed to be in the room was the doctor. Or was Yannick her brother? And he got killed by the doctor then? Poor Anuska has lost her mind. Her fellow knocked her up with this abomination. Even the mongrels tucked their tails and yelped when they saw it. I tell ya, poor soul. They burned her fellow with the shack and took the horror somewhere. Everyone got the jitters, little wonder. The old lady smiles kindly, baring her 3 yellow teeth. It was a long time ago, but you remember it still, my little hen, don't ya? Poor Anuska has lost her mind. Yeah, you just told me that. Is that all you have to say? Okay. Holy Mother, this creep again. May the devil take him in his blasted violin. The old woman turns red and starts to scream. Devil fucked your mother! Get away from me house! Do you want me to kill him? Me, not knowing how to solve any of my problems except through murder. Hey, sorry, it won't happen again. It's not my fault. I know it doesn't sound too great. My violin, it's a bit broken. I won't play it anymore. Sorry. Sir, have you been in that hut? The chicken lady's hut? You're not afraid of her? You're brave. Just frog. I gotta hear what he's gotta say. And have you seen her? The pretty lady? She's the most beautiful lady in the world. I watch her through the cracks in the window. Bro, She changes when I watch her, gets more beautiful. Oh no. I play for her. I want her to be happy because she doesn't seem to be. Chicken Lady locked her in that room. She keeps her there. She envies her. She won't allow anyone to see her, even me. She knows very well that during the last cupola night, I fished out the pretty lady's wreath from the river. Yes, sir, the chicken lady knows what it means. Oh yes, I will become the pretty lady's husband. We'll walk hand in hand, sir. I'll play for her, mister. I tried to release her, but the chicken lady, she chased me off. She always does. Also, I looked for the second key at Mr. Yon's, but now he's disappeared. I don't know how to get into his house. Just nod. So kind, so very kind. You're just like him, my daddy, but my papa has changed, mister, just like my mommy. They will not listen to me. They won't hear me now, or how sad I am, sir. Oh, but am I not boring you, sir? Please don't go. Please hear me out. Don't go. Nervous grunting can be heard from underneath the tractor. Perhaps you could help me. I just want to hear him out, right? Please find the key, good sir, to the pretty lady's room. The chicken lady has it. Well, Mr. Yon also has it. I saw him recently near the well. He used to play with me. We threw rocks into the well and I looked into our reflections while making silly faces. Daddy used to say not to do it, else my face will stay that way. Now the water in the well is always hazy. It shows these weird images. The well is here in the village. Maybe you'll find him there? He used to hang around it often. He stared into the well as if looking for something or someone. I must hide now. Hide from the chicken lady. I will go to that place where they used to keep all the grain in the eastern part of the Silent Forest. The silo! Will you bring me the key if you find it? I promise to repay you somehow. Me and the pretty lady. I don't think the pretty lady wants to be with you. I'm also not comfortable with the pretty lady being with you. This is our doctor, yes? He's just as brave and good as you are. He helped me. He's helping all of us. Gave me this beautiful mask so I could be healed of my afflictions. Maybe you could have one too. Mommy once told me about this road. She said people used to travel it. They would leave their houses and walk it during the night. I was scared of the story. I was afraid Mommy will go out too and leave me behind. Welcome back, Sam. I saw the villagers dragging a cart with a dead sow, the one they called the mother of all pigs. It wasn't as beautiful as they said, nowhere near the pretty lady. The boy drops his gaze, and that piggy, it was a bit similar to me. The boy sniffles and rubs the mask with his deformed hand. The villagers have been crying after her a lot. I saw them trying to cut through the wall of the trees. Do you think it's even possible, sir? Mommy told me once that the woods are never ending. And there's nothing on the other side. Okay. Not me being terrified of everything. That would explain why the image for the silo is the, like that weird mask. Okay, it's still 12:02. Said it needs to be done. Who says what now? No room in my inventory. I wish I could craft things. I mean, I guess I can. I can make lockpicks. I'm an idiot. Can I? I'm gonna drop the matches real fast. And then we'll make some lockpicks. I'll drop the last wire. And we'll make some bandages. And I'll drop that. It's unfortunate that I'm wasting stuff. I kind of have to at the moment. Is there no room in my inventory? Are you sure? Ooh. I will drop the nails. And then we'll pick up the rag. And we'll pick up that rag. And then we'll make more bandages. And then... Fuck. I just don't have any space at all for anything. The potatoes give me experience, which is the only reason I want to, like, take them with me. Antlers are gonna go. Nails are gonna come with, and I can't pick up the wire anymore. Please, game. Game. Don't make me choose. I have plenty of matches at home. We have matches at home. Okay. What do we got? Burn a mix of herbs in the oven. Lavage, chamomile, nettle. Keep the patient warm. Twice a day, 1 tablespoon of sauerkraut juice by mouth. Okay. Yeah, but I don't really use... Realistically, I don't use matches. A foul stench while I'm out and about. Hello? His arms and legs are bound with a chain. This is the man who sired the bad baby? Someone must have eaten cabbage and soup onion. So many poots. Poot, 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 poot. Okay, then who is this? Whatever, I'm not gonna close it. So then, I imagine Pretty Lady's in here, right? Yeah, but I have a flashlight with me. Good soup. Okay. Hear me out. What if... I can hear, like, a lot of wheezing going on in there. What if we killed the chicken lady? There's so much stuff in here that I want! A cross? Wooden cross covered in mud and sticks. Hold on, there's alcohol in there. Oh, wow. I'm gonna have to come back. There's so much stuff here. Said the next little hen with an odd little shrug. I wish I could find a fat little bug. Upon seeing you, the old lady stops humming. What do you want? Can I have her chicken for dinner? Right. Okay, I can't show her the new item. I'm gonna consider doing a murder on this woman. Map! I've already got the pig shed marked, though. I don't like the sounds coming from this back room. Yeah, it's still 12:02. I need a key. I love you too, Sam. Sleep well. I always support people ditch and stream to go to sleep. It's important. Scorched remains of the wooden henhouse structure. Sleep well, friend. Basket full of eggs. Room in my inventory for eggs. Red egg. There's mushrooms. Why are there so many fucking eggs everywhere? You know what? I wanted to save some of this. I need to save some of this wire. Whatever. We're gonna make another one. I'm gonna do this as well. I wanted to save some of this alcohol, but... to drop some items. You know what? I like selling bottles, but I like egg more. Oh, that was a fire truck. That's not great. Scorched ruins. I'm scared of what the pretty lady is. Okay, he said that he said I could get the key potentially from Jan, who was seen at the well. I'm hesitant about killing characters that I can actively talk to. You know? So I'm gonna hold off on doing a murder on the chicken lady. I'm just concerned. It's, you're right, it's the Dark Souls conundrum. Do I kill you and maybe get some good stuff? Or do we let you live? Old destroyed well. If I find a long sturdy rope or chain, I should be able to descend it. I have a chain. I don't like this. I don't like this. I hate this. I hate this. Okay. 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 A torch? Neat. Some flares? Neat. I don't want to be here at all. Fucking hell. Why? Who is stomping around? Look, can I just get your key? Please? Go get those flares. I think I'm gonna go get those flares. I think I need those flares. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. Hey, did I mention that I fucking hate this? Oh, I don't even know how these work. Oh, that just dropped it back there. Okay. Well, fuck. Well, that's not great. Hello? Oh, it's a baby! Hello? Come back! Why is everything so goopy? Where am I? I appreciate the fact that they have, like, paused time for me here, just entirely. Because there's a lot to do here, and there would definitely not be near enough time to do all of it. Plastic chickens! Dog tag! Blockade remove. Look at all those chickens. Can only carry 10 eggs at a time. Key covered in chicken feces! None of my keys fit this door. Okay, well, that's okay. Where am I now? Egg! We got the eggs! Can't do that now. Can't look at a map. We don't have a map of this area. Where the fuck am I? I'm not going back through the well. Door requires a key on the inside. That one, apparently. Ah! I see. Again, I don't necessarily want to give the key to the boy. Right? Can I show her? I can't show her the group of chickens. Cover me, please. Okay. Okay. I can do that. Another wedding ring. I think we can sell wedding rings. Ma'am? Who's the lady in the back? What do you need, poor soul? Hungry, eh? I'd give you some stew, but what good will that do? Lord almighty. I mean, to each their own. But, I'm concerned for her. Okay, day 19. Chicken lady's brother, the old lady who lives with chickens, told me the plastic chick belongs to her brother who went missing a few days ago. She gave me a photo of the person she saw him last with. It's the local doctor. I recognize the fucker. I met a boy in the village. He told me that the chicken lady keeps the pretty lady locked in her house. The boy really wants to see her, but the old woman won't allow it. He asked me to find the key to her room. He will wait for me in the hideout in a grain silo in eastern part of the Silent Forest, excuse me. The boy revealed to me that I will find a spare key to the locked room in the chicken lady's house inside the village well. Sounds absurd, but it's the only lead I have. Local doctor's photo. The boy with the violin recognized the local doctor on the photo given to me by the chicken lady. He claims he's a good man. He was supposedly helping the villagers. He helped me too, and then he snatched my fucking key. What did I need to do for... The wolf has asked me to bring him the key to the locked room in the house of the hag... Okay. I need to give the key... Fuck! Do I give the key to the wolf man, or do I give it to the weird little violinist? I'm gonna give it to Wolfman. I'm sure Wolfman just wants to do a quick little nom on the lady. Which seems like the merciful thing to do at this point in time. Probably will eat all the chickens too. Good on him. I think... Fuck. I don't know what I think at this point. I don't fucking know what I think at this point. What are you doing out here? You gonna tell me to get away from you? Yeah, you are. Okay, well, doesn't seem to be anything out here. That's fine. Fucking hell. What's over here? Hated everything about this. Oh, okay, that's Jan's house. Yeah, he's gonna do just a little bit of a nibble. Just a quick little... a little bite. Just a little nom. But yeah, I feel much more comfortable giving the key to the Wolfman than I do to the musician. By miles, really. There's a dog. Hold on. I want all of these things. Fuck it, we're getting rid of the stick. And the 2 potatoes. What is... You're gonna blow up on me. You're a mushroom man, 100%. I'm gonna leave before you wake up. Where is this? Old Woods Hideout. That's not what that is. Oh. With the silo. I don't want to give him the key. Weird little boy. Creepy little boy who likes to peer through windows. No, thank you. Wolfman who will do a quick murder? Absolutely. So many mushrooms. Please. Game. I just need quick flashes of the map to know where I am. Kind of gauge where I am at any given point. There's all those dudes bashing their heads into the fucking trees. Okay. Hey, Wolfman. Actually... Okay. Yes, meat? I got lots of items to show you, my friend. Well, well, I know this quack. A non-entity, a third-rate witch doctor, useless fucking clunker. But he still managed to screw you over with that key. Hey, comrade. As I produce the key, the wolf's pupils widen with excitement. Well, meat, I didn't think you could succeed. I'm impressed. Time for your reward. You'll find that quack thief here. But he locked himself away from the world and he won't let anyone in, so I don't know if this information will be of any use to you, meaty. What the fuck are you looking at? I promised that I'll tell you where to find him, and I did. Did I tell you you'll be able to get here? Or get there? That's something else, isn't it? Wolf bursts out with laughter. Get out of my sight, meat. I have important business to attend to. If you're interested in continuing our wonderful relationship, look for me in the northern edge of the old woods. Predict a tasty future together. Wolf sinks his hands into the deep pockets of his coat. Here. Delivers us to that insane old bitch as a way of thank you for her beautiful sister. I also just got the achievement Wolf's Path. Wolf throws the head of a chicken under my feet. As I lift my gaze, I realize that the wolf is gone. No! I wanted to sell you some shit, my dude! Motherfucker. Mother trucker. Shit. Okay, well... He said he was going to be in the northern part of the forest. I could go back down to the village. I've got time for that. Don't really have that much time on stream, but in-game I have enough time to do that. But I am so full of items that I don't think it would be worth it. Shit. Painting? Excitement. I expect pictures. When you get the chance, that is. Dog, no! Dog, no! Fucking dogs! I have so much shit that I have to dump. Just take my trash. Fair. I'm just saying. I expect pictures. I must see. Okay. Take all of that. I brought these fucking eggs with me and they don't even do anything. Annoyed. Can probably sell them though. Okay, let's... Potatoes don't even do anything. Annoyed. It's fine. It's fine. Right? Well, I don't even think Wolfman will buy my actual garbage. So that stuff's gonna have to wait until the merchant shows, or the trader shows up. Which is fine, I guess. Go ahead and sell that. I'm gonna sell the weapons parts, or the weapon parts. Because I have too many anyway. I have a lot of nails now, which is great. I'm gonna sell the shovel head. I'm gonna sell this welder because I already have one. I'm gonna keep 2 weapons. Somebody's wandering around outside and I don't like it. I'm gonna sell the 2 weapon parts. And we will start saving wire for the workbench upgrade. So then we'll put those all in there. Oh, what am I doing? Not planning is what I'm doing. I don't really have the time to go back to the village now. So... Wrong game. Can you imagine, though? I'm gonna wait to repair that. Can I upgrade anything? I don't think so. I need 2 more things of wire, and then those pliers? Where can I wander around here? Guess I could go back to that terrible... No, I don't want to do that. I was like, I can go back to the bad hut. But I don't really wanna? Just yet? Because it's 5 o'clock now, right? So maybe we'll just beat up this dog for a bit. Ouch. No, it's good, it's good. Look, whatever works, you know? If it means you're able to paint, then looking like a dork, totally fine. Village adventure was definitely that. Was definitely an adventure. Genuinely did not expect to, like, come out with that much shit and still have more that I have to get, you know? Did I really... Okay. I was an idiot and put the gasoline away. Not the rave hats. See, I was imagining like a spelunker's hat. I imagine it's probably just like one of the little like clicky lights. But let me pretend. Also, how close to... We're nowhere near close to leveling up. Shall we get through the night? And then, call it quits? I don't necessarily want to, like, make future me have to deal with nighttime upon first showing up back into game. So... let's do... Look, I've got the bear traps to spare, right? I should Actually, get out a staff. And that kind of puts us back to where we should be. Yeah, future me would absolutely love coming back to everything being bad and nighttime. Not gonna do that to myself. Look, even I have limits for the assholery that I will commit against myself. I could do that. The issue is that, like, bear traps take a lot of scrap. I do get some scrap back, though, if they're set off, unlike chain traps. But I get chain trap back if they're not set off, and I dismantle it. Did that make any sense? Were those actual words that I said? Who knows? Yeah. No, it's true, it's true. And I mean, like, I've got bear traps set up all throughout, and at this point, I'm just trying to slow shit down. So... I have to sneeze again. Excuse me. Yeah, at this point, like I said, I'm just trying to slow shit down. I've got... This entire hallway is barricaded. The door up here... Can you see my cursor? You can, okay. Yeah, so the door up here, this door, all of the windows, and this door are all barricaded. Plus, I've got traps. I think I've got a trap in this hallway, and I've got a trap here, and I've got one over here as well as a trap here. I hear someone. I've got a trap here, and a trap here, and I'm pretty sure I have a trap here. It's just trying to keep things from not reaching me, really. That's what I'm trying to accomplish here. Is just not being able to get to me. Yeah, no, exactly. It's like I can take on an enemy or two. Excuse me? Is this like an earthquake or something? That's gotta be what this is. This is an earthquake. Lights. Lights, chill. Oh!
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul and seal your doom tonight.
First off, rude. Secondly, that was horrible! I can hear someone. Just keep hitting the generator until it turns on. I hated that. I didn't know what else to do! What else was I supposed to do? Excuse me? I think that's the nice banshee. Or maybe not. I will not be going anywhere. Thank you. Smash it with a hammer. Inside you are 2 banshees. There's a dog in my house. Or is that a chomper? Please, it's almost 8. LOL! That was very good! Okay, okay, let's, I know it's a little past time, but that's okay. I didn't like that sound. Okay, having everything barricaded like that was very good, though. So let's grab some boards and some nails. I'm also going to take that gasoline and put it in the saw outside. I'm gonna take all of this and sell it to the trader. Hi, buddy. Can I show you anything? I can't. Okay. I'm going to buy these. And sell that. Nice. That's very good. Does he have any more boards? He does. He also has wire. I'm gonna buy that so that any wire that I find from here on out I can strictly use for brain. For lockpicks. I'm also just gonna go ahead and buy all of this. I'm feeling like a little less like I have to save my money for everything at this point. Yeah. Because we're getting 200 rep every single night that we survive in this house. And yeah, that's everything that I want. Okay. Exit. And any of the things that I was, like, desperate to purchase before, I have. Either in surplus, or I don't need anymore. So I think we're okay in that regard. Let's push that back where it belongs. That's still barricaded. Let's go ahead, and this way I can get another space in my hotbar, which isn't an inventory upgrade, but would still be good to have. That does give me 1 extra space of storage on my person at any given time, which is dope. let's barricade. I guess I didn't barricade that one. That's fine. These are all okay. That one didn't get set off. I do need to fix that though, which is kind of unfortunate. Okay, let's repair the doorway. Actually, yeah, barricade that one as well. I greatly appreciated having all that distance between me and whatever was trying to come at me. Would it be worth it to barricade this one too? I think so. Okay. I'm trying to think of what else I need to do before we call it quits. I'm really happy with the progress that we've made, though. Like, I know I've said it already, but genuinely, we've done it so good. I do have a rope, so let's go ahead and do that hotbar upgrade. I think I only have space for 2 more hotbar upgrades, which is fine. But we're getting there. It is starting to feel kind of endgamey, which isn't bad. It's not a bad thing that it is. I feel like we've done pretty dang well, all things considered. Once we figured out that we could break doors, once we realized that that was a thing, I think we did pretty good. Right, I can just sell wedding rings, right? I'm still just gonna hold on to it. I don't need the rep. And sorry, trying to think. Yeah, I don't necessarily need the reputation. So I'm still gonna hold on to it. At this point, I'm pretty sure we don't need it, considering we have found 2 of them. Can I purchase... What was I gonna buy? I was gonna buy something. What the heck was I gonna buy? I don't know. Red egg? No, I have enough wire. Yeah, I'm also really glad that we haven't really come across anything else. I can buy the red egg. I feel like there was something like specific that I was gonna do though. Oh well. Oops. Yeah, no, this game, when I first tried to play it, way back in the day, back when it first came out, I think it was still in early access at that point. No, 100% it's future Kayshurr's problem. Okay, we saved. Gonna go ahead and exit. Yes. Back when I played this in 2015, when it was still kind of early access. Oh no, my captions haven't been on! My internet disconnected, which probably is why my computer freaked out. Web browser. Oh well. Okay. When I played this game, ages ago, in early access, I really liked it. It was very scary then, but I think I also just wasn't this kind of gamer yet either. I don't think I was like super focused on survival games in general. And so I think a lot of it like went over my head at that point. I'm glad that I've come back to it. Thank you, Travis, for recommending or asking that I play it. I've really enjoyed it so far. The atmosphere is fantastic. Even still, even now at the point where I've gotten like used to a lot of the scares, there's still new stuff showing up, and that's horrific. And the fact that I don't know what I'm gonna get that night is terrifying, and that momentary relief that you get when you realize like what event is going on at the time is so fleeting anyway, that I feel like a lot of the tension is still there for the most part. The sheer amount of stuff that I can do, the amount of stuff that I could easily miss, is ridiculous. 'Cause like, I thought I had explored most of the Silent Forest, but clearly not, because I completely missed the village. And so that's really, really cool that there is so much that you can do. And the fact that it seems like there are lots of different routes that you can take. Like, even with just like the, this last little bit that we did with the chicken lady, like, I could have given the key to the musician kid, and I'm sure that this would have turned out differently. And I don't know that I would have been able to continue on the main quest at that point, which is to try and find this doctor and the key. And I think it's really neat that, like, your main goal of trying to get out of the woods, I don't know if it's just a me issue. It might be, because I get so overwhelmed with everything that's being offered to us. But, like, I feel like it's really easy to forget what your task is. Because you're just so fixated on, like, on surviving and just trying to get through that point in time. And that's really cool. Because there is so much that you can do that doesn't necessarily pertain to the main quest. That, like, if you do forget what your goal is, it's okay, because there's other things to do. I'd be curious to play this again at some point and, like, make some of those different choices. Yeah, because, like, first I thought maybe, like, with Piotrek, since he gave us the welder, like, maybe that's the only way that we can get that, but obviously not, because I found 2 others just kind of lying around. Basically, I'm in love with this game, and I'm very happy that it's been as good as it has been. Right, I guess Travis has some good ideas sometimes. No, it's so good. It's so good. And I'm glad that y'all are sticking with this. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. But that's all I've got to say about that. So let's plan a raid. Looks like we got a few friends online right now. We've got oof, Mrs. Kiwi doing some DBD. Nimbly is doing some pumpkin carving. Play Me Out's doing 7 Days to Die because Dylan is back. ATM Zero's doing some Phasmophobia. Princess Meezy's doing some Overwatch. Lubug is doing some homework, doing a co-working stream. Dougie is doing Horror Story, Hallowseed. Play some Genshin. Let me know when you get to level 16. I should also do that sometime, but I'll probably do that tomorrow when I'm listening to lecture. Do y'all want to hang out with Play Me Out, Lubug, or Dougie? Those are kind of the people that I want to hang out. Obviously, if anybody has any suggestions or recommendations, I'm here for that too. Dougie? Let's go hang out with Dougie. Let's go say hi to our friend Dougie. Yeah, also, Sarah, if you try it out and you like it, let me know when you get to level 16. We gotta welcome Dougie back. It's true. It's true. Let's go say hi to Dougie. And yeah, as always, thanks y'all for being here. I know I've been, like, extra sappy. the last, like, number of streams that we've done. But, like, genuinely, you guys are delightful and wonderful, and I'm really happy that you're all here and hanging out with me and spending so much time with me. It means the world. It's SAP is very fun, especially in contrast to what we're doing. Thank you, Allie, for getting the raid messages back up there. I love you guys. Take care. Reminder, Friday is Friend Friday. I will be streaming Graveyard Keeper in the morning at our usual time. Around 4 p.m. Central is when I'll be available to do some fun Friend Friday stuff. So keep an eye out for that. Take care. We'll see y'all later. Bye.